Hey, it's Matt. Are you seeing water on the floor around your washing machine? Well, in this video, we're going to show you how to troubleshoot your washer if it's leaking water, and we'll have you back to doing laundry in no time. With over 2 million products in stock and the know-how to help you do it yourself, we are AppliancePartsPros.com. In this video, we're going to use a towel, a 1/4-inch nut driver, a pair of regular pliers, and a large adjustable pliers. Remember, safety first. Always make sure the appliance is unplugged or the circuit breakers are off to avoid electrocution. The cause of the leaking could be from several different parts, including the fill hoses, external drain hose, the water inlet valve, transmission assembly, the internal drain hose, or the drain pump. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more DIY appliance repair videos. The first part we'll be checking are the fill hoses. They supply water to the washer from the wall. Most times when they fail, there's water spraying out of them due to the pressure, but they can also get small pinholes that can cause a slow, constant leak. In order to check them, we need to go around back. Now that we're around back, we can inspect the fill hoses. We left the water on so there's pressure so you can see if it's leaking while you move the hoses around. You want to look for any corrosion. You want to check these fittings up here and make sure they're not leaking from here. If you see any water coming from the back side over here, it could be just that the rubber washer needs to be changed. You can do that separate from the hose itself. Once you're sure those are okay, you want to just check the fill hoses, move them around, look for any bulges, all the way back to the washer. Now that we know the fill hoses are okay, we're going to turn the water supply off before we check the next part. But remember, even if your fill hoses checked out okay, GE recommends changing them every 5 years just to be safe. Since we're around back, we're going to check the external drain hose. It's what carries the wastewater from the back wall of the washer to the drain. If it's damaged, you may notice water leaking during the drain cycle. First thing we're going to do is take the drain hose out of the wall, and then we're going to inspect it for any leaks. Just want to move it around and check for any cracks or leaks. Also look for any white soap scum or bubbles that are coming out. If it looks okay, we can hook it back in the wall and go check the next thing. Now we're going to inspect the water inlet valve. It has solenoids that open and close to let water into the tub. If the valve body is cracked or damaged in any way, it could cause a leak. It's located right here behind the access panel. We're going to use that 1/4-inch nut driver to take out the screws that hold it on. Once you have the screws out, we're going to take the access panel off. We're just going to pull out on a little bit and then slide it over so the tabs come off. And you can lift it off and set it aside. Once you have the access panel off, we have to lift the control panel off so we can get access to the valve. We're just going to pull back on it, lift up, and then rotate it over so we can see the water valve. We're going to lift it out so we can inspect it. So first we're going to unplug the wire harness from the control board. Just have to press the tab, lift it off. Then we're going to take the 1/4-inch nut driver and remove these 2 screws that hold the bracket on. Then we're going to reach in and pull the bracket out. And then we're going to pull the thermistor out and set it aside. Then we can lift the water inlet valve out. We're just going to push it forward and then lift up on the back and pull out so the spout comes out. We're just going to inspect the housing, make sure it's not cracked or water leaking out anywhere around the solenoids or the fittings. If it looks okay, you can put it back in. All you have to do is carefully slide it back into place and pull back on it to lock it in. Then we can put the thermistor back in. Just have to plug it back into the valve, put the bracket back on. Just make sure it sits on those 2 little pins right there. Then we can use the 1/4-inch nut driver to put the screws back in. Once you have the screws in, we can reconnect the wire harness. Just want to plug it in so you get a good connection and it locks in. Then you can put the console back on. We're just going to lift it up, then rotate it over and line up the tabs and then push it forward. Then we can put the access panel back on. Use the 1/4-inch nut driver to put in the screws. If the water inlet valve wasn't your problem, we can move underneath the washer. We have a few parts to check there, starting with the transmission assembly. The transmission is responsible for driving the washer tub during agitation and spinning. It also has the tub seal on it. If it's leaking, you'll have water on the floor. In order to work on it, we're going to tilt the machine back and support it with a box. You can put a towel across the back and support it on the wall if you want. And since we'll be tilting the machine back, you want to loosen up the fill hoses with the large adjustable pliers and then finish unscrewing them by hand. You want to make sure you put a towel down so you catch any water that may come out, and also label the hoses so you remember which one's hot and which one's cold. We're just going to tilt it back carefully. Now that we're underneath, we have access to the transmission assembly. It's located right here on the bottom of the tub. The seal itself is actually on the top and it seals the tub. So if you have water leaking, you'll see it coming out around this plate. And if it's been leaking for a while and drying up, you'll see the white residue from the soap in the water. If it looks okay, we can check the next part. Now we're going to look at the internal drain hose. It carries the wastewater from the drain pump to the external drain hose. To check the hose, you just want to visually look and see if you can see any water or the white soapy residue leaking out. If you do, then it's probably got a hole. You can also move it around. You want to look for any holes or damage that you may not see when the hose is in its natural position. If it looks okay, you can move on to the next part. Next, we're going to check the drain pump. It pumps the wastewater out of the washer. If the seal is damaged or the body is cracked, it could leak water on the floor. It's located here on the right-hand side of the tub. There's a seal up here where it seals into the tub, and you have the plastic body of the pump itself. If either one of those is damaged, it could cause it to leak. If you look right here, you can see the soapy water leaking out. That means ours is damaged, so we're going to change it out. Since we're replacing the drain pump, we're going to need a few more tools. We're going to need a 3/8" socket with a ratchet and an extension and a spray bottle with water in it. To get the drain pump off, we first have to take the cover off. So we're going to use the 3/8" socket with a ratchet and an extension to remove the bolts. The lower one has the ground wire on it. So just make sure you take it off the ground wire. Once you have the bolts out, you can pull the cover down and set it aside. Now that we have the cover off, we have access to the drain pump wiring harness. There's just a locking tab here on the side. We're going to press and release it. Pull it off. Then we have to take this clip off up here. Sometimes it's in there pretty tight. So we're going to grab a pliers and pull it out. Sometimes the wire harness clip can be in there pretty tight, so if you break it taking it out, don't worry about it. The new drain pump comes with one. Then we're going to take the drain hose off, but first we're going to put a towel down to catch any water that may come out. Just going to use pliers to compress the clamp and move it down. And we're going to grab the hose and pull it off the drain pump fitting. If it's on there tight, you may have to turn it to break it free. Now we're going to use a 3/8" socket with the ratchet and the extension again to take out the 3 bolts that hold the drain pump on. Once you have the bolts out, we can pull down on the drain pump and wiggle a little bit to get it off the tub. and then we can pull it off the machine. Here's the old drain pump next to the new one. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. To put the new drain pump in, we're going to get this gasket and the tub wet so it's a little bit easier to slide in. Once you have it wet, we're going to line it up and push it into the tub. Once you have it seated, we're going to use the 3/8" socket with the ratchet and the extension to put in the bolts. Once you have it mounted, we're going to put the drain hose back on. Same thing with the seal. We're just going to get it wet to make it a little easier to slide on. We're just going to slide it onto the fitting and push it up so it's seated all the way. Then we can grab the pliers and move the clamp up so you get a good seal. Then we can route the wiring harness. We're just going to clip it into the transmission here, lock it in place. And we can plug the wiring harness in. It can only go one way, so just press it on and lock it in. To put the cover on, you just have to line it up with the mounting holes. We're going to use the ratchet with the extension and the 3/8" socket to put in the bolts. When you put the bottom one on, make sure it goes through the grounding wire. Once you have the machine put back together, we can carefully set it back up on its feet. Then we can plug the machine back in, put the fill hoses back on. You want to start them by hand and then tighten them up with some pliers. Turn the water on and take it for a spin. Once you've figured out which part is causing the leak, you can take your model number and head over to AppliancePartsPros.com to search for the correct part. Most orders will arrive within a few business days. When you receive your part, we have more videos to help you with the repair. If this video helped you out, let us know in the comments and hit the like and subscribe buttons to see more of our videos. Thanks again for the support, and we'll see you next time.